year, EA, 2K and other developers gear up to release their latest installment of whichever franchise they control. And us fans eagerly await, telling ourselves that we need this game, and that's going to be a completely new game from last year's. But is it really ever any different? Or at least different enough to justify the £50 price tag? Having been an avid FIFA fan, buying each release for over a decade, I'm Matthew from Respawn and I'm here to talk about the problems with yearly sports releases. If you watch the conclusion to our FIFA Fantasy Lockdown League, you may remember it being discussed that I recently made the switch to Pro Evo. It wasn't because I believed FIFA is a bad game. I spent hours playing it, and whilst FIFA 20 definitely has its issues occasionally, the main reason I made the switch was because I needed something that felt fresh to play. If you've played any of the past few entries in the FIFA franchise, you may as well have played them all. And it's not just FIFA that has this issue with gameplay feeling stale either. Having recently reviewed Madden 21, I really enjoyed my experience with it. It had its flaws, but the actual gameplay was really enjoyable. But if you look at its Metacritic user score though, you would question why anyone is playing this game at all, with a shocking 0.2 score. And I know never to take the Metacritic user scores too seriously, but as it's being written by the fans, it's clear to see there's huge frustration amongst the Madden community. In fact, diving deeper into the Metacritic user scores, it's clear to see this is a recurring problem, and one that's been building for a while. Madden's scores dropped yearly for at least the past 5 years, starting at a 5.7 score with Madden 16. FIFA has the same drop off in fans' perception too, dropping from a 4.9 with FIFA 17 to a 1.2 with FIFA 20. And don't think it's just an EA issue, 2K has the same drop off in scores, since NBA 2K16 starting with a 6.7 score, going to a 0.9 score with the latest NBA 2K21. So what has caused this supposed drop off in quality between these games? Are they actually getting worse, or are fans just getting jaded with it? I can't compare the differences between each of the 2K and Madden games in their series, having only played one of each of the games from those years, but when it comes to FIFA, it's clear that the developers' focus is being dedicated elsewhere, while they're also being pushed for a dedicated release date. Now I don't want to hate on the developers, I'm sure none of them are trying to create a subpar game, and I'm sure they all want to create the best game possible for the fans. The issue is though, that we know to create a truly great game takes longer than just 12 months. There's a reason a lot of the biggest titles like The Last of Us often get delayed, because if you try and rush these games, you end up with something buggy and frustrating to play. The biggest example of this was WWE 2K20, a game that at its release was borderline unplayable and ended up having countless customers demand refunds. There's a reason these games have constant updates throughout their life cycles. These games lure us in though, with the promise of a hot new game mode or these dynamic movements, but ultimately, whilst we know these probably won't have too much of an impact on gameplay, we continue to buy these games as we want to have the most realistic experience possible with the updated rosters and visuals. We want that immersion factor to feel as realistic as possible. That often leaves many people questioning, why don't these games just release the latest edition as a patch, like Pro Evo is doing with the ePES 21 game? The answer is simple though, money. These developers have a monopoly on each respective series. They make millions from each release, let alone the unfathomable amounts they make from however they implement microtransactions. They would be complete fools to do what Pro Evo are doing, who are probably doing it as a way to try bring in some new fans and try to claw back some of that market share against FIFA. The monopoly these games enjoy may well be the biggest issue they have. Competition breeds creativity and risk, which a lot of these games lack. They go through the motions each year, but ultimately have no reason to change the systems they've created, as from a business standpoint, they're succeeding. So ultimately, the issue with these games are in fact us. We keep buying them. And until that changes, until the profit margins go down, expect to see another edition of FIFA, Madden or 2K grace the shelves at your local game store at the same time each year, with minimal changes to it. I've been Matthew from Respawning. Let us know what you think about yearly sports releases, and if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe, and check out one of the many articles we have on www.respawning.co.uk. And make sure you keep up to date with everything Respawning at Respawning UK on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and Twitch. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.